Welcome to this month's edition of Superintendent's Corner. Hi, Norristown Area School District community. Chris Stormer, still proud to be your Superintendent of Schools. Thanks for joining us for this month's video segment. Here is the district news for the past month. The CDC announced a new model for tracking and guiding us through the COVID-19 pandemic. We're transitioning to a community-level risk model that now assigns low, medium, and high risk based on not only transmission within the community, but also local health and hospitalization capacity. Health officials feel that this model will be much more reflective of how we can sustain and move through the pandemic, but also is a sustainable model for moving into the future. I'm so very proud of how the Norristown Area School District community has wrapped their arms around our health and safety plan and has navigated successfully together. Everybody doing the right thing to get us to this point. I'm very, very excited that the new model also is now county-based. So we're no longer going to be looking at Norristown-specific transmission. But because everyone has done the right thing, Norristown Area School District in Montgomery County has been assigned medium risk in the first week, and actually as of yesterday has dropped to low risk. So what does that mean? That means finally we can start pulling back on some of the mitigation and restrictions we've had in place for our students and in our schools. Most visibly, I was very proud to announce this past week that we were able to transition from universal mandatory mask wearing to now having masks recommended but not required on all schools and school buses in the Norristown Area School District. That mask recommended and not required is in place for our students, our staff, and our visitors moving forward. As we continue to update and hopefully lessen some of the restrictions that are in place, we'll continue to get that news out in separate communication. But again, thank you everybody for all you've done throughout this pandemic that we're finally able to start returning to some sense of normalcy here. We've had a great month here in the Norristown Area School District. We've lots to celebrate. We highlighted many of these things at our January board meeting, and I just want to take a moment to review all the outstanding accomplishments of our students and our student athletes over the past month. Norristown Area School District will be hosting the Pennsylvania State Robotics Championships on Saturday, March 5th. And we're very, very proud that we have multiple teams of students competing, hopefully to earn a bid to go to nationals later this year. Our high school cheerleading squad had a successful run at the state championships, competing not in one, but in two separate categories for the first time. Top 5 in the state of Pennsylvania, and they took both of those routines and had a successful national championships in Orlando. We're very, very proud of everything our cheerleading team has accomplished, and we look forward to the continued growth of that program. Wrestler Eric Witt is qualified for the Southeast Regional Championships coming up at Oxford High School with a chance to qualify for the state championships later in March. Our boys basketball team, the Cinderella story. They didn't have a season last year because of COVID, and now they're playing for the District 1 Championship on Saturday, March 5th at Temple University against the number 2 seed Lower Merion Aces. Our team has already qualified for the PIAA State Tournament, and we're very, very proud that we are going to be hosting a home state playoff game for the first time in many years on Wednesday. So please be on the lookout for tickets, and we want to pack the gym and support our Eagles as they continue on in their postseason. And finally, we're so very proud of senior Jaden Brown. Jaden just wrapped up the Pennsylvania indoor track season with a state championship in the 200 meters and the 60 meters. Jaden posted in his 60-meter win the second fastest time in Pennsylvania state history. That is absolutely incredible. He's moving on to nationals in the next couple weeks. We look forward to a successful spring season from Jaden, and we're also very proud that just yesterday, he signed a full scholarship to run at the University of Houston this fall. So congratulations to Jaden, and we look forward to honoring you at a board meeting coming up in the future. We're also proud this week that we launched a new initiative here in Norristown called the NASD Cares Committee. This is a partnership with all of our community-based organizations to more deliberately work together to make sure that we all contribute to the success of our students, our families, and our community. CARE stands for community, advocacy, relationships, engagement, and support. We're so very fortunate that we had 15 of our community-based organizations join us for this initial meeting. District officials are going to be going out to their places so that we get to talk with them where they do business and where they support our families so that we can interact with our parents and our students and community members there. And we're hoping to forge new and different relationships that, again, put our students and families in a much better and different situation so they can be even more successful here in school. Finally, later in this video program today, as we wrap up the month of February, we celebrated Black History Month as we've never done here in Norristown. As always, we are committed to being culturally responsive and celebrating the diversity, the race, equity, and the belonging here in the Norristown Area School District. Later in this video program, you're going to see all the great things that our students and schools did to celebrate Black History Month. So that wraps up district news. I'm excited to, our next segment is going to be our video portion, and we're going to meet with the teaching and learning team here at Norristown to hear about how we develop curriculum and some of the great things that are coming forward in the days, weeks, and years ahead in the school district. I'm pleased to be sitting with our teaching and learning team here in the Norristown Area School District so we can learn a little bit more about them and all the things they do to bring rich and rigorous and relevant opportunities to our students every day. So I'm happy to introduce Dr. Tracy Richardson, our Director of Teaching and Learning, Mrs. Jennifer Lynch, our brand new Curriculum Supervisor for Elementary Education, and Mr. Solomon Webb, our Curriculum Supervisor for Secondary Education. Welcome, team, and thank you for taking time to join me for Superintendent's Corner today. I want to start the segment by asking each of you if you can introduce yourselves. Tell us a little bit about yourself, how long you've been in public education, how long you've been with the district, and why Norristown? So Tracy, let's start with you. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. So I have been in public education for 24 years now. Started out as a social studies teacher, assistant principal, and now director of teaching and learning. I have been with Norristown for 3.5 years. And why Norristown? Because I feel like I can make a difference. I love the people that I work with, and I love being around the students.
Great, thanks, Tracy. Jennifer, again, I'm going to welcome you to the team here. So tell us a little bit about yourself and the Norristown community.
Sure, thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm Jennifer. I have been in public education for about 14 years. Started as a history teacher. I was an instructional coach for a period of time, and I most recently served as an assistant principal in Philadelphia. What brings me to Norristown is really what brought me to this work in the first place. I am a huge advocate of social justice, and I'm really passionate that every child deserves a rigorous education that can prepare them for college and career. And that's why I'm excited to be here in Norristown with this team.
Great. We're thrilled to have you join our team as our newest member of the administrative team. So thanks. Solomon.
Hello, thanks for having me. I've been in education for, 22 years now. So I spent most of my career as teaching math at the high school as well as middle school, teaching all different levels. I transitioned to the assistant principal at the high school here, and just recently transitioned into the secondary curriculum supervisor role. So super excited about it. And why Norristown? Well, I've had such great experiences as a child, going way back. I wrestled, and I got to compete here on several occasions, and it was just such a memorable experience, and it just kind of drew me here. And once I took the assistant principal role, just had such a great time and enjoy working with the people here and being able to have an opportunity to help make a difference.
Great, thank you all. One of the reasons I wanted to get our teaching and learning team on and featured was, let's be honest, one of the core, really the sole purpose of what we do here in the district is teaching and learning. We're here to provide those awesome opportunities for kids to develop skills and knowledge. And all of that work is sure, it's what the teachers do in the classroom, but there's so much planning that goes into the delivery. Deciding what happens at each grade level, deciding what happens by content, not only what the state requires us to teach based on the standards, but what we want those local outcomes to be here in Norristown. And one of the things, Tracy, I'm going to start with you with this question. As I said, there's a lot of behind-the-scenes work that goes into that, and very proud as you joined us. We started returning to, really what is the best practice, what is called a 5-year curriculum cycle, where we look at things on a regular rotation to make sure that it is fresh and it is current and it is relevant. Can you share some of the key work that goes as part of this process as our curriculum cycle goes on? And which areas are we currently working on to develop and implement right now so that our families know, hey, here's what you can expect right now and what are we working on for next school year?
Sure. So there are the different stages of the curriculum cycle. So the first is analyze. So when we are analyzing, we are going into the classroom, seeing what is being used, how it is being used. We are getting feedback from teachers and administrators, what components they like, what components they don't like, what we might need to tweak. We are also collaborating with others around us, nearby districts, to see what they're using, what is effective with the Montgomery County Intermediate Unit, anything that they've heard of that we should take a look at. So all of that goes into the analyzation phase. The next phase would be design and develop. In the past, we used to bring a group of teachers together. Over the course of 4 or 5 months, we would bring them together about 5 or 6 times, the instructional support teachers, and we would start backwards design, where we would look at how much we had to fit into the year, what we needed to cover, and then just start planning to make sure that we were able to get it all covered to meet the standards for the Pennsylvania Department of Education and SAS. This year that is a little different because it's been hard to pull teachers out of the classroom, and so we are contracting that work out to others and they are working with us to help write a curriculum. We're working closely with them. Each stage, they present the work to us and we tweak it along the way. And we're almost at the phase where we are ready to show that to administrators and teachers to get their feedback, because it's important to have the feedback from all of our stakeholders. We will have information out into the buildings for parent-teacher conferences so that parents will be able to take a look at some of the bundles that we are considering. So that's the plan for this year with the design and develop. The next phase is implementation, and then a key component of that is, first of all, the professional development for the teachers to make sure that they know everything that the curriculum encompasses, how they can use it effectively, what tools are there to differentiate to meet the needs of all of our students. So that is key, and that's not a one and done. We do that on a regular basis, work with them throughout the year to support them with professional development. We are all out and about observing, seeing how it is being used, seeing how we can support them. So that is a huge component of the implementation phase. And then it's evaluate for 2 years, just going through, tweaking, seeing what we need to change, what additional resources we might need. So that's kind of what we do during the 5-year cycle.
That's awesome, Tracy. I think as you talked about, that evaluation and the adjustment piece is so critical because, like I said, all the planning could be, we could have all the best practices, but we need to make sure is that delivery really working for our kids?
Right.
And, I'm so appreciative of the work, that our teachers do, our administrators do, the teaching and learning team does to constantly say, is this working? And if it's not, let's fix it on the fly so that we don't lose a month, a week, a day. Because we know it's so valuable for our learners. So, Tracy,
right.
Can you just share, this year, what did we implement? What are we building for next year, and what's going to come over the next couple years?
Sure. So this year we are working on math and ELD curriculum. And so we are in the final phases where we are looking at resources to support the curriculum that we have worked on. The plan for next year is to look at the ELA curriculum. But also in addition to that, we are going to have to take a look at science because, as you know, the Department of Education has approved the new science standards. So we want to start taking a look at that now, just to make sure that the work that we are doing in the classroom aligns with the new standards that will need to be taught. So.
And I appreciate that the team is because science wasn't supposed to come up for a couple of years, that we recognize we don't want to wait until necessarily the cycle hits because of the state saying we need to get moving on this.
Right.
And I think the whole team knows, because I see you nodding, these new science standards were probably 5 years overdue.
Right.
And as a former science teacher, my goodness, like I've been begging for these for years. So, so I appreciate that the team is prioritizing this. And again, it sounds like we got great systems to, again, to make sure that our kids are getting the best, and again, to make sure it's relevant. Jennifer, we talked about using the curriculum cycle, as Tracy just did a great job detailing, to make sure that we're constantly updated. We're constantly making sure we're aligned with standards so that our teachers have what they need to deliver. And with that, and Tracy kind of talked about, we always look at, do we need to update our materials? Because the day-to-day, it's one thing to put a map out there, but what are we giving our teachers to actually deliver? That interaction with kids. Is it new textbooks, online resources, manipulatives? What do you think is most important as you do the development work? What is key when you consider curriculum materials for teachers and students to use?
Yeah, I mean, what a great question. The biggest thing that's important to consider and to really look at and analyze is, are the materials truly standards aligned? Are we, in fact, providing students access to what the standards are expecting them to be able to know, master, and do by the time they reach the next grade level? And that, above anything else, is the most important thing to really look at and dig into deeply with curriculum, is that is this material in front of kids exactly what's being expected of them to be able to do? And then the second piece I would add to that, it would be, are the materials in front of kids really providing access for every student? Are the materials that we are choosing, do they have embedded opportunities for students who have special learning needs? Are there embedded opportunities within this curriculum for students who have English language learning needs? That's not to say that any material should be necessarily modified or adapted, but really what can we provide students within the materials to have them reach the same standards that we expect all students to really reach at that grade level? And then I think the third piece of being able to speak to every student is just being able to reflect our students and their lives, the different cultures and backgrounds that they come from. And so we want to take a really strong look at that as well to make sure that our students are also represented in the materials that they are being given in every class, every subject, every day.
I think it's so important that you shared with our students, parents, families, and community a key message there. That when we look at curriculum, when we look at those materials, we, from really as a philosophy, don't believe that we don't buy things and expect that one size fits all. I think you really hit on a key point that we look to the need of every single learner, and whether it is a different map or a different direction or making different materials available so that every kid can succeed is really what we're about. So I thank you for really sharing that and really spelling that out for our parents. So we look at, and we want to ensure every child is successful, and we're willing to meet them where they're at. And again, I think that is key because every child is different, and we want to celebrate their uniqueness as one of our core values here in Norristown. Solomon, a question for you, and Jennifer and Tracy really talked about, okay, so now we have this curriculum process where we attend to all of our content areas, and it's all got to fit together towards ultimately, from our kids when they start in kindergarten all the way through this journey to 12th grade. I take a responsibility, we got to get kids ready not only to graduate, but post-graduation. So one of the things at Pennsylvania, again, making sure the kids are this notion of college and career ready. A couple of years ago passed what was called Act 158, where they've afforded kids different pathways to college and career readiness, and really, making sure that we can legally say that they've qualified to graduate. And we've afforded kids different opportunities beyond just pass a standardized test, which I think is so important, getting back to meeting the needs of individual learners. Can you share a little bit of what we're doing here in Norristown about the different options that are available, but what we're doing to make sure that every kid not only qualifies for graduation under 158, but is ready truly to go down any post-secondary path that they want to choose? Can you talk a little bit about that for us?
Absolutely. And just to reiterate what my peers have said here, it is about students and ensuring their success. So first and foremost, we understand that this is going into effect for the class of 2023. But the bigger picture here is that we have a team of administrators and teachers that are all collaborating, working together to try to provide opportunities for each and every one of our students to be successful for the class of 2023 and beyond. So there's several levels here. We're all working, and what we're doing is making sure that we provide the appropriate information for parents, for students, for the staff, for the other administrators, so that we can all work together to support our kids. So what does that mean? The state itself came up with 5 different pathways. The first one you mentioned was the Keystone Proficiency. So students would have to be proficient in Algebra 1, biology, and literature. The state thought about, again, making sure that we meet the needs of each and every student. So they came up with 4 additional pathways. And our job and what we're doing right now is working on making sure that we have a true understanding of each and every pathway so that we can provide multiple opportunities for our students, again, to be successful. So the second pathway would be the composite pathway. So the composite pathway entails being proficient or advanced on one of the Keystone exams, and then what you're looking for is a total score of 44.52. So on the other 2 exams, you can score basic, but you cannot score below basic. And that sum must be greater than or equal to 4.52. The third pathway would be what we call the CTE pathway, or that's for the career and technical education pathway, focused on those students. So again, we're looking into what we need. We're working with the tech school to make sure that we are putting together the right information for those students so they can meet that pathway. We have 2 more pathways. The next one would be an alternate assessment. An example of an alternate assessment would be, say, your PSATs. If you score 970 or better on your PSAT, that will help you or meet that pathway. You'd have to be proficient on one of the 3 exams. So for example, let's say that you are proficient in the literature and you weren't proficient on the other 2 exams. As long as you score a 970 or better on the PSAT, you would meet the pathway. There are several other assessments that you will meet those the criteria. We are also working on making sure that we put together information to get out to parents and students, and we're going to put them in the classrooms and on websites so the kids know the criteria. So we will get that out to them as well. And then the last one would be your evidence-based pathway. You need 3 pieces of evidence. There are, again, several opportunities there for students to meet the criteria. One of them would be completing at a silver level or better the ACT work keys. So again, what our job is to make sure that we provide enough information for the students to understand what the work keys pathways are, what does that look like for them, and provide them with opportunities to complete them. There's also an opportunity to achieve a work level credential. They have an option there. There's an apprenticeship program. So again, several opportunities. And what we are, again, currently working on is just making sure that we provide every single opportunity and we roll this out in a way that's easily understandable for the parents as well as the students to, again, ultimately ensure their success.
Thank you for taking time to detail that. And I'm appreciative that our team is committed to multiple pathways beyond the single test score. I think one of my biggest frustrations, when so much is put in judging a school, judging a community by how they do on a PSSA or a Keystone. It's one measure on a test that's given 1 or 2 days out of 180 out of times 12 or times 13 years. So I think it really is, holistic of us and really genuine of us to say we can show that they are life ready beyond just a single Keystone exam or the compilation of 3 Keystone exams. So I look forward to the work that you as the secondary supervisor, Dr. Richardson, working with Dr. McGriff and the team to make sure that all of our kids are showing what we really can do and that they're life ready. So again, thank you all for sharing that. Really just one final question for you. I genuinely see and hear your passion around all the great opportunities we afford our kids. So I'm just going to ask each of you to say, what is one thing you're excited about the future of teaching and learning here in Norristown, and why should our kids, our students, and our families be excited about the learning opportunities we afford them? So Dr. Richardson, we'll start with you.
So you just saw a portion of why I'm excited, because we are fully staffed as of March 1st, and this is a portion of a dynamic team. We also have added positions for a reading specialist, a technology coach, an ELD coach, a math coach. So the district is committed to making sure that we have all of the support that we need to be able to work with the buildings, with the administrators, teachers, and students, and provide everything that they will need to be successful. So that's very exciting. It's a group of passionate educators, energetic people, hardworking, and the synergy that we have already started to produce is amazing, and so I just can't wait. I told you yesterday, just give us about a month or so until we are really digging into everything, out and about in the buildings, and just serving this community.
I mean, I get to see the passion in our interactions. I'm just so glad you guys are bringing it and showing a little bit on camera for our community right now. So thank you, Tracy. Jennifer.
So on day 3, right, I can be excited about a lot of things. But truly, I've spent the past couple of days with Dr. Richardson, going into the elementary schools, being in a few classrooms, meeting with the leaders, and I am both very humbled and very honored to be joining the Norristown Area School District. We have amazing talent at every level, and in 3 days, I'm sitting here, and that's the reason I can give you for why I'm so excited to be here, and why I think that students and families should share in that excitement as well.
I appreciate you. I see the talent we have across the board, students, staff, families. And I think that is something that we need to tell our story better on, about those individuals that really bring it every single day. So
thank you.
Thank you. And again, we're thrilled to have you here. Solomon, bring us
Awesome.
home.
All right, here we go. So for me, it's about opportunity to help make a difference. And to kind of piggyback off of Dr. Richardson, it's the team. And you talked about passion, and Dr. Williams is going to smile about this, but I have a lot of questions because I want to make sure that we are providing every opportunity for our kids to be successful. So if I don't ask those questions, I don't feel like I'm doing my job, and thank goodness for Dr. Richardson, because I am knocking on the door always, because again, and I think what Dr. Richardson said is absolutely 100% completely true. We want to ensure that our kids are successful. And really, it's whatever it takes, even if, sometimes I ask too many questions, but we know that those questions are designed to make sure that we are helping our kids. I look forward to the opportunity of working with Mrs. Lynch, our new member. I just think we have such a good team, and everyone is focused on doing the work. And that's what we need to be successful.
Thank you. Again, I can't thank you all enough. I mean, to me, I see the leadership of our teaching and learning team trying to get rid of the barriers to success. And to me, when you're asking questions and when you're not taking no and you're bringing that passion, you're committed to our kids, and you're committed to making sure they have every opportunity to be the best versions of themselves. And to me, that's why we're here. So Tracy, Jennifer, Solomon, thank you so much for taking time with me, sharing a little bit of yourselves with our community. And again, we look forward to hearing updates as we continue to grow our program.
Thank you.
So thanks, everybody. I'm glad we were able to spend some time with our teaching and learning team here today. I'm excited to transition to our next segment, new to the Superintendent's Corner, our Take Our Show on the Road, where we're going to take you into our schools and you're going to see the great things that go on in our schools every day. And this month, we're featuring how we celebrated Black History Month. So we're going to cut away to some live shots or some footage of all the awesome things that go on in all the schools here in the Norristown Area School District.
Don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing's gonna be alright. Say don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing's gonna be alright. Rise up this morning, smile with the rising sun. 3 little birds pitch by my doorstep, singing sweet songs, a melody's pure and true, saying, this is my message to you.
That was such an amazing celebration of all the incredible things that we've done here in Norristown to celebrate Black History Month and the diversity here in our school district. The month of March is Women's History Month, and we look forward to all of our schools doing great things to celebrate women and all the extraordinary things that they contribute to our schools and to our society. That wraps Superintendent's Quarter for this month. Please make sure you tune in. Please follow us on social media, on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Check out the district website for the latest and greatest. And I'll see you next month in the Superintendent's Corner. This is Superintendent of Schools Christopher Dormer. Thanks for tuning in.